So next up is Sarah Cooper, who is the head of marketing at Strongdor Limited, who actually were a Red Rose winner this year, and basically based on their digital transformation story is what got them that award. So big round of applause as Sarah gets up and moves to the front.
Alexa, order me a steel door.
Amazon's choice is the Strongdor steel door, which can be delivered tomorrow. Would you like to purchase now?
Oh yes, please.
Okay, what is your structural height?
1800.
What is your structural width?
900.
Thank you. Now do you require a panic exit or personnel door?
Panic exit, please.
And finally, what colour?
Oh, ruby red.
Thank you. Your Strongdor steel door has been added to your basket, and if ordering in the next 53 minutes can be delivered before 5 p.m. tomorrow. Would you like me to place this order for you?
Yes, please.
Your order has now been placed and will be delivered tomorrow.
Okay, so you might have guessed that was a bit staged. Maybe the whole technical issue might have told you that. But basically, hopefully the next 10 minutes is going to talk to you about how we want to be the next Amazon of the steel door market. My name's Sarah Cooper and I'm head of marketing for Strongdor. We manufacture steel doors, very glamorous, right from sheet steel through to the finished product. And we really do want to make it as easy as Amazon make it to order a steel door. Yeah, so where do we start? I'll give you a bit of context before I talk to you a little bit about the digital transformation journey of Strongdor. So in about 2012, our managing director took over a business which at the time was very much a kind of cottage industry, doing a lot of buying in products and selling them on. No digital technology, no high-tech machinery, and it kind of stayed that way up until about 2019. We went through about 4 or 5 different offices, expanded hugely over that time, and we bought in a lot of parts and fabricated them together. So very manual, lots of kind of people involved in this process. And it worked brilliantly. The company was very, very successful. And then it came to about 2019 when some new legislation came out. I don't know if there's any manufacturers in the room or online, but the new legislation meant that we had to CE mark all external fire rated doors. Anybody that knows anything about CE will know that means you have to have a full end-to-end audit. So right from that sheet steel right to the end, you need to follow that process. And because we bought some of our parts in, we weren't able to do that. So 2019, we were in a position where actually we might not have been able to sell some of the products, some of the doors. We may not have been able to sell them. And a change was needed. We knew a change was needed. The leadership team knew that if we hadn't made action, then we wouldn't be able to continue. So, in true Strongdor style, they decided to pivot the business. Invested £2.1 million into a new purpose-built 44,500 square foot factory. At the start of this, it was still very manual. So we've gone from a manual kind of buy in parts and fabricate them together to this huge, massive, expansive factory. And with all this investment, we had everything from sheet steel right through to the door, but still manual processes to a point. So still to track the doors around the factory, to know where they were in the process, we had a little piece of paper. You'd have to find the piece of paper if you wanted to find the door. And again, anyone in manufacturing may relate to this. And also, quite notably, we had to manually draw with a CAD team every single door that had to go through that factory. This was 18 months ago. And also, we did a bit of market research and found out that customers wanted a drawing with every single door that was made. And in order to do that, we had to digitize this. We had to automate it, right? We couldn't continue with the manual processes where we got people to make things happen. We had to have a digital solution to this. So the CAD team, this was very much led by the engineering and CAD team, went on a kind of journey to find a solution to create drawings of our doors very quickly. And that is where our digital transformation journey started. But notably, what we realised when we got in that factory, just out of interest, anybody have any clue how long it would take us to manufacture a steel door? In hours. I'll give you a clue there. Anyone? You can't answer this. Anybody?
7.
7 hours, okay. Any of 4? Okay, 4 hours. It takes about 4 hours, so have no prizes, but you are the winner. So it takes 4 hours to manufacture a steel door, end to end. But our lead time was 10 working days. And what we quickly realised is there was 9.5 days of wastage. 9.5 days that were through manual processes or inefficient processes or things that were done by people that could be done by technology. And then we set out on a journey to digitise as many of those processes as we possibly could. Our sales director has a thing, he wants it to be 30 seconds. We're yet to get to that. We're still very early in the journey. But how can we remove all those manual processes? Because it only takes 4 hours to make a door. So, fast forward 18 months, and we have started this journey, and we had some really, really brilliant wins. We have an online configurator now where you can actually draw and configure your own products. You can get a 3D visualization of the product. It also has the capability of sending what we call a DXF directly through to the factory, which means that can go through the factory without being hand-drawn. I say has the capability because we're still a few weeks off launching that, but it does work. We are testing it. There are doors going through on that process right now. We've even got one customer using this, and I've got a few stats in the next slide. We have a few customers using it that is obviously saving us time as well. And also we have digital traceability, so that piece of paper is no longer there. We have a digital system that has replaced that, enabling us to track exactly where everything is on the production line, knowing how long it's taken between steps. Again, in early stages, so a lot of that is through smart sheets. We are going to develop a completely bespoke custom product for that to be able to have everything end to end. And obviously 24-hour access, which is a really important part of digitizing a journey. So you don't have to be physically there at that moment to be able to make it work. So yeah, what has that really done? We're trying to give you a bit of an insight from an SME, how much of a, sounds like a small thing, but actually has had such a big impact to us. So one customer so far, and you'll understand why. I'm in marketing. I've not let it be released yet, and we'll come to that, to the wider customers yet. But one customer has configured themselves 3,187 doors, and that saved us 320 hours. Put into perspective, we have a lot of big customers. You're talking 300, 400, 500 customers at any one time. So I'm not very good at maths, but you can times the 300, 400, 500 by these numbers to understand where we're looking at going with that. And it's a really big thing. What we talk about as a leadership team is about if we can do something manually, why can't we digitize it? And one of the things that we say to the sales team a lot is, tell me the things that you do that are repetitive, that are frustrating, that are boring, that are administrative, and give me a challenge to see if we can digitize it. And that is a massive mantra with the business at the minute. So challenges. It's not all rosy, as everybody's heard on previous and probably other talks you hear today, but I could go on of lots of different things that we learned, but just a couple of them I've kind of picked out as a insight into our experiences, really. And that way up between functionality and user experience. So I told you earlier that our project came from the desire to have drawings with quotes. So quite a simple, basic premise of what we were trying to do, which came from a very technical-minded department. So when it got to the point that it was kind of ready to be used, absolutely fantastically functional. It did exactly what we needed for the factory. It configured doors that were possible in the factory, and you could get a drawing out. So what the customer saw at the end was perfect. But from a user experience point of view, it was slightly more limited. It hadn't been thought about from that commercial side. And I think we really learned that for digital transformation, you need a wider team. You can't just take it from one isolated view. And I think because where the project came from, basically we just need drawings with every quote. That was what we were trying to solve. And as a project develops, it becomes so much wider than that. You realize the possible, and then you change what the whole point of the project is. So we're now on a bit of a kind of other project, which is about mapping user journeys and mapping those customer experiences that we want to develop. And we will be launching this to customers very, very soon. We're just getting that little extra bit right to make sure it's right. And staff engagement, we've been on a journey. We've had lots of engagement from staff. And I think because I think the team in the sales team, so particularly our sales director, was very keen not to force anybody to use a system. Because we've got people there that have been in the business for a long, long time, and they're used to using systems, and they're used to using them that go wrong. And so everybody's a bit skeptical when you've got systems that don't work. So he did something quite different, really, and sort of said, here's a system, use it if you want to. There was he didn't force anybody to use anything. But the whole point was build something so good that they just want to use it. Make it so fast that they just want to use it. And make it that enough people trial it and they see the benefits that they're saving half their time, so they just want to use it. I'm going to ask you a question, and please come to me if you know the answer to this as well, but can you ever really define a digital project from the start? Something that is, and I'm seeing laughing faces in here because I've had agencies tell me, oh, we need to do all these workshops. And yeah, we do. We definitely need to at least get a step up. But 18 months ago, we started a project wanting a drawing for customers. Fast forward 18 months, we now want an end-to-end system that is integral to our customers' processes. We want them to use the systems to quote their customers. But 18 months ago, we didn't know that. So how do you really define a journey? How do you really define a digital project? We use, agile methodology, so we are very agile in what we do, but yeah, I don't know. I don't have an answer. You might have expected me to have an answer. I don't. Just thought it'd be an interesting question. If anyone has any input on that, let me know. So yeah, just a bit of a roundup really, and a bit of a where we're wanting to go. We want to be, as I said, the Amazon and the Strongdor market. And by that, we mean we want full end-to-end integration, right from when you have a quote request, right to the end, where you have it quoted to the customer, the end customer, for example. Next day delivery. We want new product development to be so easy, it's digitized. We come up with the concept, and it just goes through the system, rather than having to rebuild everything that you do for every new product. We want to upskill staff. We want to take them on the journey. This is not about replacing people. This is about taking them on the journey. This is about upskilling, changing, growing with less staff, less expansion of staff, sorry. And yeah, everything, obviously, make the system customer facing, all with the end goal to achieve the high growth that we're looking for within the business. So my waffle is over, not quite as funny as the original presentation, but yeah, if anyone has any questions or wants to have a chat after, let me know.
So does anybody have any questions for Sarah? Dan?
Yeah, question I had was through the whole process, did you bring in, what sort of outside support did you bring in? And as an extension to that, were you able to find what you wanted within Lancashire?
Interesting question. So we started the journey, we have outsourced it internationally for the development side of things. And I think it was a cost exercise, I suppose, initially. And it has been successful now, where we've got some consultation based in the UK. But from a kind of UX point of view, and is something that I did want to keep within the UK. And we have found some really interesting people that we're still in chats with. We've not gone on that journey yet, but I think there's always a kind of way up of cost and quality. It was quite hard to find people, actually. So I think hopefully it'll become easier to source and find the right people within that space, particularly with some of the exciting initiatives that sounds like have been happening this morning.
I think for me it was really interesting that I think it's about people, isn't it? So we talk about a digital transformation, but actually it's about the staff and how they reflect it. It's about the users. It's about that whole process, isn't it? So although digital is the facilitator almost, it's the people and how they interact is the important part. And I think often that's really forgotten in digital transformation journeys, and it's good to see that it's been so integral here, really.
Definitely.
And it comes then back to the skills question and making sure that everybody has those skills to move forward in a new digital workforce. So as you said, you don't expand it, you keep who you've got and just keep retraining them.
Upskill, change people into advanced machine operators versus, manual labour. Yeah, absolutely.
Which is brilliant, and just shows that digital transformation shouldn't be a scary thing for people. It should just be the next evolution of your job, as opposed to, oh no, I'm going to get sacked and a robot's going to replace me, and that kind of thought pattern. So brilliant. Right, brilliant. Dan.
Just another question that's come from the stream as well, actually, and that's from Gemma Collins, and she's asked how much is cyber security been part of your thought process through the whole digital transformation?
Yeah, really interesting question. I think when you start off on a lot of these projects, and actually this was before my time, this was before I joined the business actually right at the start, again, you only know what you know. And I think you set out on this and you don't really think about that. You don't really think protecting your data, protecting your information, that sort of thing. And it's only sort of more recently when it's going to be launched and we realise all this data's there, or it's going to go out to customers, that started to become, something that we are factoring into our risk strategy and our kind of digital transformation strategy as we go forward. I think probably from the outset was considered, but not as realised how important it was going to be. But definitely important going forward now.
I just had a quick question about how open the mindset was of the senior leadership team, because it sounds like there was from the top that sense of it's not just a burning platform, we've got to do something, we've got to look for new ideas. Was that part of the culture?
Yeah, so the question was how open were the exec team or the management team of Strongdor to digital and taking that forward. So in terms of taking that forward, really.
Yeah, I think Strongdor leadership team are one of the most, I've been in the business now for about 18 months. They are the most open I've ever experienced. And I think it's not a question of waiting till there's a problem. We know that digital is the way forward and we have to make it work. We can't just wait for things to happen or our competitors to do things or the world to change. We have to do it now, and our customers are expecting more. Customers don't, people are used to Amazon. They're used, and we keep going back to it, and I know we don't, it's more of an analogy really, but people expect to be able to pick up a phone and do something now. They don't want to wait 24 hours, 48 hours for a quote. That's 10 years ago. That was acceptable 10 years ago. But now they want it now, and they want it in their time, on their terms. And I think we have to provide that as businesses across different sectors.
Can I just summarise for the people at home before we move on, not to just so we got it right? And she says, remembering the question, as I've said that to interrupt. So is there still, as staff weren't forced to change or use a particular system, are staff now coming to you with ideas of how to change the system and why don't we do this? Would you say that would be the question?
Yeah, or just things that you would have thought would have been earlier in the process, that somebody come out of the woodwork, not necessarily showstoppers, but just stuff that's like, we didn't even know this was done in our business.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really interesting. It's a very, very good question. I think you always work with a certain number of people within that initial team. And you can't include everybody. You can't. You want to, and you want to have workshops, etc. But yeah, absolutely. There are lots of different groups now within, for example, the sales team, where they will put forward ideas. And one of the things we actually have started doing, which maybe a little controversially, I don't know, but if we've got a long-term project that we want to do on the system, that's a big development that we know is going to be great for customers or long-term, and we have some little things from the sales team that they go, why can't it do this, or this is missing, or we're prioritising those things for the sales team, because They're the ones that use it every day. We know we need to focus on the long-term things long-term, but actually it's really, really important that those little things we're missing, or the ideas that are coming out from them to bring everybody on board. And actually, a lot of them are so insightful because they're the ones that are every day doing it. They're speaking to customers, they're following those processes. And yeah, no one's perfect. It's like you start on that journey and you map out what that actual process or that system looks like. And yeah, you don't get everything right. You miss things. But every single week on a Friday, we launch incremental changes. And we tell the team what those incremental changes are. And it's all on the same journey. We now know where we're going. So yeah, is the answer, yeah, they do. And we're constantly improving it. I think a piece of software or a system is never finished. And if it is, then you probably need a new one because it's probably not right and you've given up on it.
How true, how true. Dan.
Questions are rolling in.
I'm going to put my phone down.
Yeah.
Get yourself a seat because we're going to...
So, do you want to summarise?
I was going to say,
yeah, you summarise it then.
I think the question was sort of about whether the digital processes have improved or worsened the quality in terms of manufacturing. And I suppose the answer is the aim is always that they improve them. So when you're doing a quotation on a system like this, you're removing human error. It's an aid to the sales process. That's the other thing. There's so much skill and knowledge within the sales team that we never want to lose that personal connection. And we don't want to lose that. But it's an aid to it. And it de-skills to a point the manual process that is knowing what sizes you can have or what's could go wrong in the factory. So 100% improves. You've got to make sure that you do the right testing, obviously. But yeah, absolutely, completely improves it. And with the right people, right process, then I believe digital should always improve.
You just said is it error-free? Is the process error-free?
I don't think anything's error-free. I think it can't be. But I would like to think that any errors that are there, the beauty of a digital system. So if we're working on a door, working down a manual process, and somebody puts the wrong handle on the door, you can say, really sorry, next time we need to put the right handle on that door. But it doesn't solve it every time. Whereas with digital, and you can change the code, and you can change the logic within that system to stop it happening again. So I think the recurrence of errors is significantly lower. When you identify anything, you can fix it a lot quicker and a lot more robustly.
So the question was, do you sell internationally?
Just UK at the minute.
She's going to follow up in a minute. Do you want to sell internationally? I can help you with that. But yeah, brilliant. Well, again, really big round of applause for Sarah.